Welcome back to our tutorial series. In this video I want to try to use a rhythm in a triplet feel for the first time and place it over my grid of beats and offbeats like I have been doing in the videos before. I picked a very easy and hopefully well-known phrase, and that is the ending of Duke Ellington's Take the A Train, which I'm sure you have heard before, and it's a very common phrase, and it's good enough for now to be an example for how we can place a swing phrase in a triplet feel. So first of all, just a very rough start. If I want to understand the phrase a little bit better and sing it over the quarter note beat, I'm walking again, as I always do. The one is on my right foot. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba-gong, ding, dang, vo, vi, dang. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Ba-gong, ding, ding, va, vi, zo, boom. Since this is the first time that we do a phrase in triplets in a swing feel now, I want to really look into the detail about where to place the melody or the accents of the phrase. Okay, first of all, I've written it down. Up here is the music notation. If you are familiar, it's a swing feel, so the eighth notes are swung and not straight. If you don't know what that means, check the tutorials that came before. And down here, for those who are not familiar with music notation, I wrote our popular graph. One more time. Each blue big dot is a beat. Each of those smaller blue commas is a subdivision. And I wrote how it's usually counted. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and which is a triplet grid. 1 and 2 and etc. And the orange dots here mark those subdivisions where the melody is placed. So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. So let's practice this. I want to make a little detour because I think it's really helpful to try and place this phrase or any other phrase of a swing tune actually precisely over a grid of triplets as we drum that grid on our lap or on our belly or whatever. You can do this sitting down at the kitchen table also. So I will be walking the quarter notes, the beat, as I always do. And now I'm going to drum out all of the triplets. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And now I want to sing the phrase exactly over this grid of triplets. Ba, ba. And what I mean is that I want to feel exactly which drum stroke, which hand is hitting my stomach as I sing the note. Okay, so if I do it really slowly, it'll be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Ba, etc. This is a great way to practice a precise placement of the notes in the triplet grid. Okay, and now let's go to the way we've been doing it before, to where we clap the rhythm and walk the beats. Okay, so we have 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 4 and a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 1. Okay. What we want to accomplish is to place the offbeats not just somehow in between the beats, but really feel how they lock with the triplet grid and really sort of internally hear the one triplet that is silent, right? The one in between here, right? That's what we are trying to achieve. Let's do this same exercise, and then after clapping the rhythm for 4 times, reduce the number of steps and only step on the 1 and the 3, like we've been doing before. And then after another 4 repetitions of the groove, stop the walking altogether and just have the time and the grid inside. Okay, so we go 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a etc. So the last step, as always, would be to do the same rhythm with our feet, and I'm going to use a swing playback to have something to relate this to. And again, this is just a groove loop because I'm not using copyright protected music in these tutorials. So here's our beat. 1 and 2, and 1 and 2, 3, 4. It's an easy rhythm to practice this with, but hopefully it can be a good introduction to practicing this type of phrasing. And it's a great exercise to do the same procedure with some bebop tunes, for example, and really check out how does the phrase sit over the grid of the bars and the beats. I want to make one short remark at the end of this video, because if you are a little bit familiar with the swing phrasing, you will probably argue that placing the offbeats exactly on the triplet grid, as I've just been doing it, does not really is not really true in many of the soloists that you hear play in the real world, and that is important to recognize. And it's true in the individual playing. There's a lot of negotiation, and it's a lot of it depends on the individual style, and it depends on the tempo of the music. And in most cases, the offbeats of a rhythm as it is played by any soloist will not be exactly on that triplet grid. It's going to be a little bit before or a little bit after, depending on the tempo. Most of the times a little bit before. But we're keeping it sort of simple and sort of overly correct for the sake of expanding our listening skills. And also when we play synchronized with a bigger band or with other tap dancers, it is really important to know the exact position there. And then we can also really negotiate. A band will rehearse where exactly they place these offbeats. So it is true in real life there is a little bit more variety to the placement of these offbeats, but as a starting point, this is a very good way to practice it, I think. So I hope you have fun and go practice.